was a trend hill or firewall coming, going toward Appomattox on the 460, near Campbell Avenue. Turned over.
What inspired you to pursue this line?
My shop, because I was like, walking to my office, she's like, is that thunder? I'm like, that's because the cover for the social services and health department right below me, and it gets underneath there, and then of course we have the flat roofs to stuff up on the flat roof. Did you use it online? The middle one? Yeah, evidently it's finally melted, it's dried on the blue. The last week I saw this cold. It just, the split, the strings are still there at the bottom. So we stapled it, thinking we were gonna be smart, and it split on another row, like, so I just.
Good evening. I'm calling the April 15th, 2025 meeting of the Amherst County Board of Supervisors to order. The time is 7 p.m. Thank you, everyone, for being here this evening. Our chair, Claudia Tucker, could not be with us, as well as Mr. Adams. Board, the first thing is to approve the agenda. Staff has advised me that item 8, new business, the brick grant, should be removed. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
All right, motion on the floor by Mr. Wade. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And I vote aye. We will now move to the invocation led by Mr. Wade and the Pledge of Allegiance by Mr. Pugh.
All right, let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today to first give you thanks for this beautiful day that you've provided us. Lord, we ask for your guidance as we take on the matters of the county tonight. We ask for your protection over our law enforcement, emergency services personnel, our military, Lord. Be with them, keep your hand over them. Lord, and we ask that you just be with us throughout the week, Lord, as we remember your son and everything that occurs later this week. It's in Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll now move on to our citizen comment. We currently have 3 citizens signed up. First is Kara Jones. If you'd like to come forward and state your district of residence, please.
I live in Madison Heights.
Okay.
Thank you for y'all's time. I have addressed this board before. It's been a few years back. I have a really big concern with the trash problem in our county, and I hope everybody here agrees with me on it. Just to name a few roads, Glade Road, back Amelon, Odensbo, and Wildwood. It's just a tremendous, it's beginning to look like a county full of garbage. And it's really something needs to be done. And I am a over-the-road truck driver, and I've been in a lot of states. And Massachusetts really impressed me with their littering fines. I took a picture of it. It impressed me so much. $15,000 for littering, and you don't see litter because they're held accountable for what they do. Without accountability, we can't make things better. That goes with all the other problems that we have. I mean, I'm not going to address those. I mean, I could stand here all night and address problems. But, you know, we need to do something. And the last time I addressed the board, they said, well, what would you do to stop it? I said, well, they kind of laughed at me. I said, well, I'd make them wear a hot pink vest with I'm a litter bug on the back, make them pick up trash for a month. okay? You know, when you get down to how long stuff lasts, like, well, just like a soft drink bottle or a plastic bottle, 450 years. This doesn't go away. Well, where does it go? It goes into our water. You have all these people that are so concerned with climate change and all this rigmarole, but they're not concerned about the water. Well, all this stuff ends up in the water. And Amherst County has, you know, we have James River, we have Ty River, we have, you know, a lot of rivers here and stuff. And, you know, keeping our environment clean is a big important thing for Amherst County and the citizens of Amherst County and the future generations of Amherst County. And, you know, and it looks like, you know, and people say, well, how do you catch them? Well, you know, we have cameras now, and they're good ones. And, you know, and people have to be held accountable. And you have to have stricter fines. I think with a $15,000 fine, you're going to really think hard before you throw a piece of trash out the window, right? And, you know, in Massachusetts also, they have fines up to $30,000. And y'all can look this up because I have. And, you know, in Maine, the state of Maine is getting ready to institute these same rules in their state because they want a clean environment. And, you know, it's really sad because it does go into the water. And like I said, I've been all over this country. I mean, I've got it in California, and it's so nasty. You have to take bleach wipes because it's so nasty. It's horrific. And, you know, I mean, you take an aluminum can, 250 years before it, 250 years. And nobody in this room is that old. So if you go back and you're going to dig up cans that our great whoever, you know, had, you know, just threw over the bank back then. And it's really a problem. And I have tried to pick up trash and try to partner with VDOT some on that. I work 70 hours a week, so I don't have a lot of time, you know. But it is really a problem. And I don't know what we can do as a community to try to address it, but I really think something needs to be done. And like Glade Road, I mean, it's horrific. It is horrific.
All right, thank you, Ms. Jones. Can you wrap your comments up? You were only supposed to have 3 minutes. I gave you
I'd give you 30, honey.
I know you could, but
Well, thank you for your time,
gotta be fair for
y'all.
everybody else. All
Well,
right,
thank you for your time.
thank you so much. Ms. Brenda Burton? Brenda Burton?
That might be for the public hearing.
My name is Brenda Burton, and I live on High Peak Road. And
Ms.
I'm
Burton,
here-
are you here for the public hearing with the Monacan Nation?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to have a separate public hearing
Oh,
for that,
okay.
if you want to hold your comments. I'm sorry. Helen, I cannot pronounce the last. Okay, thank you so much. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board about anything other than the Monacan Indians? Or is that Mr. Waldron? Mr. Waldron, we'll get to you in a second also. All right. Anything else? All right, we will move on to public hearings. And that item is the request by the Monacan Indian Nation for a special exception in the A1 Agricultural Residential District. The purpose of the special exception is to allow fairs and festivals, such as the Monacan Indian Nation Powwow and other similar such uses that are devoted to the promotion and education of Monacan history. Additionally, the Monacan Nation intends to build a bathroom facility that will be ancillary to the advertised uses. Mr. Creasy.
Vice Chairman Martin, Board, good to see you all tonight. As you indicated, this is a request from the Monacan Indian Nation for a special exception in our A1 Agricultural Residential District. The location of this petition is at 225 Laurel Cliff Road, and is further identified as tax map numbers 122-A-34 and 122-A-32A. I don't want to bore you too much about our comprehensive planned use. It indicates that it recommends agricultural limited for the property property. As well as you all know, the general intent is to encourage farming and maintain the rural qualities in areas so designated in the county. While the ag district is meant to encourage farming, the comprehensive plan does indicate certain commercial developments may be appropriate. Within our comprehensive plan, we also have a section devoted to cultural resources and community aesthetics. There are a few goals and objectives in there in which it talks about promoting Amherst County, Sweetbriar College, and the Monicans, as well as promoting existing fall festivals and to recognize and promote our history. The zoning for the parcel is already indicated as zoned A1. And then the code section 702.03.1 indicates public entertainment as a special exception. Our definition of public entertainment includes activities open to the general public, which are intended to attract, amuse, engage, and/or stimulate persons attending the event. The term shall include, but not be limited to, carnivals, fairs, festivals, and plays. As indicated, the petitioner would like to build a set of bathrooms for the listed uses. If approved as an accessory structure, a principal use must be established first. Staff has taken the stance that that principal use would be this event area for educational purposes for the Monacan Indian Nation. Going on to the surrounding area, it has the same zoning designation as a subject parcel. I'll turn your attention over to the screen and I'll pull up that zoning layer. So as you can see, I'll zoom out a little bit. Mostly the subject parcel is here, of course, and everything around it is zoned A1. To get our bearings, this is Laurel Cliff Road. Right here, which comes off of High Peak. Laurel Cliff is a very small road. High Peak is up to the northeast, and then you also have Cedar Gate, which Laurel Cliff turns into, and that goes both directions. Amherst County tax records combine 6 different parcels. So if you notice, when I click on our GIS, it includes lots 32A, 33, 34, 6A, and lot 11. Even though it combines 6 different parcels, this petition only includes tax map numbers 34 and 32A, which would be these 2 parcels. The one where it's split by the lake, so this larger one, and then this one here as well, to the north. The parcel currently has 2 single-family dwellings located on them that the Monacan Indian Nation rents out, as well as a few other ag buildings. The rest of the property is used for agricultural purposes and includes open pasture, woods, and a lake. This special exception was sent off to VDOT for further review of the existing entrances on site, and the applicant proposes to make use of the pasture in front of the single-family dwelling. So there is a site plan included within their application, but they intend to use these areas right in here for parking for their events. And there's also overflow parking on the adjacent lot to the north. This was also sent to the county's fire marshal, in which he indicated that there were no concerns. The impact, the proposed special exception, as you've already indicated, would allow for fairs and festivals and other similar uses that are devoted to the promotion and history of the Monacan Indian Nation. Staff believes that the surrounding community may experience an impact from traffic, or definitely will during larger events such as the powwow, due to their proximity to the subject parcel. However, staff does has minimal concerns regarding the impact the special exception may have joining residents outside of traffic. All noise ordinance would need to be met, of course, even with this approval. Found within the staff report were 4 different recommendations during the Planning Commission meeting. 2 of those recommendations were changed. So I'd like to bring forth now those 4 conditions that the Planning Commission has recommended to you all for this petition. The first is that a parking attendant shall direct traffic with events greater than 75 attendees. This is pretty boilerplate in nature for what the county has required for these events throughout its time. Number 2 is a slight change from what the staff recommended to Planning Commission. This is all proposed entrances, and any future entrances shall be approved and permitted by the Virginia Department of Transportation. All entrances will need to meet VDOT standard for a low-volume commercial entrance. The change is, and it was noted in the site plan changed by the petitioner, that the entrance on High Peak Road, so it's right, you can sort of see it right here, how the grass has changed a little bit. This entrance right here will no longer be used for public events. Instead, it shall only be used by emergency services in case of anything that happens out there. So the other areas for the parking and entrances, they of course have their main entrance, and then they have another one here. And I believe they potentially intend to get one more on Laurel Cliff, all of which would need to meet the low-volume commercial standards, which is pretty much a typical driveway. It's got a radius of a certain feet, and so 2 cars can pass. Item number, or condition number 3 indicates guests shall be required to park on the property and not park on neighboring lots or any right-of-way outside of their property unless they have written permission. And item number 4 is that all rules and regulations of section 7-1, public entertainment for public events over 150 people shall be met. So this is a permit that is obtained through our Parks and Recreation Department. What it does is as soon as our Parks Department receives a application for this, it is sent to our Sheriff's Office, Public Safety, or building official, potentially a few others. I believe VDOT gets involved, and that's notify them of the event. Of course, public safety has a certain threshold for when they've got to have ambulances out there, as well as the sheriff's office for number of attendees. So that gets them engaged with this, and that would be required for any public event in which the Monicans intend to have over 150 people. Those are the recommended conditions, as well as there's also a recommended motion found within your item summary. At this time, do you have any questions for staff?
Board? If we do, we'll call you back.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Cruz. Is there anyone here representing the petition that would like to address the board? Chief?
I think Tyler about covered everything. He talked about the, getting the permits from the park. We do it every year from the park department, and we've had no problems ever. We're getting ready to do our 32nd powwow, and we haven't had any problems, whether they were police or anything. So we pretty well take care of the parking on our own. We understand that we only have our powwow one weekend a year. The reasoning for us asking for a bathroom in the middle of 1,300 acres is we're trying to have it so our people can enjoy the property that we purchased. We have a lake there. We have people that go in and fish. We're building a picnic arbor so people can go there and picnic or have a family reunion. It's more like a park to us, just like Monacan Park would be, but you can't go and spend the day if you don't have bathroom facilities. Even with the bathroom facilities that we want to build, it's only 2. One for each, we still, for the powwow, will have to have porta potties. There won't be enough bathroom facilities to service that. So during the powwow, there will always be, outdoor restrooms. So, any questions?
Board? Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, I'll leave some flyers here. I hope you guys can come to the powwow. Thank you very much.
Okay, we will open the public hearing portion. Is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of the petition? Yes, sir, if you'd come forward and state your name and district, please.
But I am Monacan, and I am in charge of the parking and getting people in and out, and it seems like that's what it keeps going back to is the parking, but I did it for 20-some years on 130 at the Joe Albert Farm, right in that curve, and we never had a problem because we went by everything it was supposed to.
Could you speak in that mic?
Oh, I'm
so
sorry.
people
I
on
thought
the
I was loud enough.
internet could hear us?
Yeah, and now I have a better copy of the parking thing, and I heard Tyler say about this exit on High Peak Road. We have never, ever exited out of there. And on this here, as far as parking, to the right over there, that long driveway, I never go any lower than that ditch line right there, because where I stop the cars, you can barely see them from High Peak Road. I exit them out on to Laurel Cliff right there, which they can go left or right, Cedar Gate or go, and then High Peak Road to 29. And I've heard people say that it gets pretty busy on those roads, but when we did it in Elan on the Albert Farm, people were still cutting through there from Amherst to get there. And the entrance, where it says entrance, that's a long, wide driveway, so I do keep that open. I don't enter and exit the same way, because if I have to get emergency vehicles down there, they got a wide open road that they can get down there too. That's really all I have to say. I just wanted to clarify this parking and this exit stuff right here. And like I said, we did it up on 130 for 20-some years, right in the little town of Elan. Knock on wood and thank God, we never had any accidents, but we were always cautious. I think we had one neighbor complain then, and that was because some mud got on her driveway, but we never had a problem up there.
All right, thank you so much,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Brown. Okay, is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor? Okay, is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition? If you'd come forward and state your name and district, please.
I'm Brenda Barton. I live on High Peak Road. And he has given some clarification as far as the parking, because the map that we were given in this palette shows that there's going to be an entrance coming out in front of my house. Now, I don't, I'd like further clarification on that.
Okay, we'll get that for you.
I would also like clarification on fairs and festivals.
Yes, ma'am.
Because as Mr. Creasy said, it could be carnivals, that type thing. This is a residential place. It's a very quiet neighborhood. Most of the people are retired, 80 and above. And the road there is barely passable with 2 vehicles. And so those are my concerns there, as well as the restrooms, or bathrooms as they are calling them. We never had a dimension on the building that was gonna house the 2 bathrooms. Will they be fixed where in the future they would be able to add more toilets and that type thing? We don't know how big these events are gonna get. Like I said, I have many Monacan friends. The powwow, we have had that for years. But now we're looking at having stuff all year long, it looks like, and that's where I draw the line. I have no objections to their powwow. That's only like a weekend thing one time a year. But the rest of this stuff, I have a lot of objections for it. That's my home. I don't want to be, having all this public entertainment and all that stuff. I'd like to enjoy my home.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Burton. All right, is there anyone else that would like to speak in opposition? If you'd come forward and state your name and district, please.
I'm Helen Fernyhound, and I live on Cedar Gate, and the property is in front of me. The main house is about 5/10 of a mile. We have more traffic. I've been there since 1972, and the traffic is more than doubled on that road. And there are no lines. It's just a little country road. If you meet a pickup truck with a trailer behind it, we both have to get out off the road. And it's not a good road. It's got ditches, it's got holes in it, and it needs to be fixed by the state. And I've been there since '72, like I said, and it's not been fixed. I'm opposed to bathrooms. Restrooms is okay, but bathrooms mean you can have a bath down there. Now, if this is what's going there, it needs to be clarified exactly what it's going to be. And when we was at the zoning the meeting, they said that we're not going to let traffic go on High Peak. They didn't last year. The powwow's been there 2 years, but they did. I go High Peak, I go out Cedar Gate, I go Laurel Cliff, but we have traffic from Elon, 130, that comes through there going to Amherst. That's their quickest way. We have tractor and trailers, we have box trucks, and on weekends, we have lots of bikers that come through the Up River Road and come our way and go up High Peak and then come back from the city. They have a bike club. And you have motorcycles, you have campers going to Monacan Park that way too. So there's a lot of traffic, so I'm very concerned, and I'm very much opposed to fairs. Powwow's okay, but I do not think that we should have fairs. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in opposition? State your name and district, please.
Benita Unruh, and I live off High Peak on Burford Farm Road. My only concern is what are considered public events that are going to take place there. The powwow is fine. I think anything connected to the Monacan Nation is fine, but when you're bringing in fairs and carnivals that are not connected, that is what concerns me. And also the facilities, whether they're bathroom or toilets, that's a concern too. It's not clear if it's bathing bathrooms or just toilets. And I think that's, oh, and also they say that they want to revitalize the trees as well as use farm, and they hope to produce vegetables to supply their food to the public. And they've been there for a while, and I have not seen any production of vegetables or anything like that. And I don't think they have cows anymore. They do cut some hay, but it is agricultural and residential. So we would just like to keep it that way.
Thank you, Ms. Unruh. Is that a Marine Corps tie class?
Yes.
Semper Fidelis. All right. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in opposition? If not, public hearing is closed. Board, what's your pleasure? I have some questions for Mr. Creasy while you guys are getting warmed up. So, Mr. Creasy, let's talk about well, first let's back up. So they've had the powwow here for at least 3 years, right? So they've never had to get a special use permit for that. And why is that?
Well, so we act on a complaint basis, and they've also built no structures that would be associated with a public event facility. And so if we have a staff of 2, so if we were going around looking for issues, we'd be very busy. That said, they came to us looking to build this bathroom, well, it's really restroom facility, bathroom facility with just toilets. And staff believes this is a gray area. When you have an annual event, it becomes a land use designation, or it could be considered that. So therefore, staff tends to be overly cautious in permitting such uses. And so that is how this came before you tonight.
So what is the Parks and Rec permit that they get?
That is, so that's typically just for one-time events that happen. So if you're to have a larger event in a hayfield, like I could give you one, is if you wanted to hold an auction facility, a one-time auction event down 60 on one of the giant fields. If it was only one time and you came to my office, typically auction facilities are a special exception. But if it's only going to be one time, we would probably get documentation from you, send you to Parks and Rec for that one-time event.
So because they're doing, at least they're alluded to wanting to do more than just the powwow, and they want to build the restroom, not a bathroom, it's a restroom, just toilets and a sink. That's the need for the special use permit.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell me about the entrance on High Peak. I've heard that it's not supposed to be opened.
Right, correct.
So, is that conditioned anywhere?
Yes, sir. It is conditioned in your item summary for item number 2. So when we first received the application from the Monacan Indian Nation, there was a site plan in which they showed an entrance right here. It was not clarified, the one on High Peak, if it was for emergency services or not. During the Planning Commission meeting, that was an issue that was brought up by neighboring citizens. The Monacan Indian Nation also clarified that it was only for emergency services. Staff had that site plan revised with Chief Fields signing off on it, and we have included that into your condition as well, that the entrance on High Peak Road shall only be used for emergency services.
All right, thank you, Mr. Creasy. Chief Shields, could I ask you some questions, ma'am? Thank you. Yes, ma'am. So, Chief Shields, I think words matter. okay?
Absolutely.
And what I heard you and Mr. Branham talk about was you wanted to do your powwow
Yeah, then once a
Right.
year.
once a year, and you want to build these restrooms, not bathrooms, but restrooms, and
Yes,
they're going to be 2.
restrooms.
And I'm
Sorry,
assuming
that's
they're gonna be-
verbiage. Yes.
I'm assuming they're going to be fairly small. Do we know how big they're going to be?
I have, the contractor has diagrams that he's put on file for permitting, as well as the septic size and all of that stuff. I don't have them with me. There's going to be one women's bathroom with one side restroom, I'm sorry, restroom,
I got
2
you.
stalls for the women. The men's side will be 1 stall and 1 urinal.
So not very big.
No,
Okay. So what I also heard you say is for the Monacan Indians that would like to come and use the lake or those types of things.
it's beautiful property. that-
Absolutely.
That
So
we
it-
never owned before, and people want to enjoy it.
So it sounded like to me, it was more going to be like a park-like setting for the Monacans.
It is.
But the way this is worded, what at least I'm hearing from the residents is, the powwow once a year is great.
Right.
They don't necessarily want to see, carnivals with Ferris wheels and all those types of things. Is
no.
that your intent?
No, that's in your code. We had,
I got it.
we never brought that up at all. That, I believe, is in the code that Tyler
So
recited.
is your intent only to do the powwow once a year there?
Yes.
then
And the
use it
other,
as a
the other
park?
thing we've ever thought about is bringing school children in, because we used to do a student's day when we had our powwow. Years ago, on a Friday, we would do Students' Day and have a half a day for the schools to bring the students in. We might do something like that because we have the large house we can use to bring classes in to do like a one-day cultural thing and have them bust in and bust out. That's the only other thing that we've ever talked about. Now, we have discussed down by where the barns are, way down in the backside. I don't think you see it on here, putting a greenhouse down there. We talked about the possibility of doing a greenhouse and growing vegetables, that type of thing, but that's not right in that area. That's
But
further down.
That's agricultural
It
anyway,
is.
right?
It is, yes.
So, Mr. Bryant, Mr. Creasy, I'm sorry, I'm going back and forth.
No,
but-
no, that's fine.
So, I mean, if we said, hey, you can build these restrooms,
Hmm?
and you can do the powwow once a year.
Hmm?
As far as the Monacan Indians come and use this as a park, we really don't have anything to say about that, right?
No, and they use it for agricultural
And
purposes.
they're used for agricultural purposes,
Correct.
like any other agricultural. So, I'm kind of looking for nods of heads back there from the neighbors. If we limited it to that, would that address some of your concerns?
You can take the fairs and the carnivals out of the whole deal.
I got you, okay.
I
Thank
mean, you can make that an exception if would be
All right.
better.
Thank you, Chief. Board?
No, I think Chief's addressed a number of concerns. We've talked about the parking entrance, we've talked about restrooms versus bathrooms. She just clarified that, there's not gonna be fairs and festivals. So I don't know what else there is to talk about here.
Mr. Pugh?
Yes, well, this was the crux of the matter at the planning commission meeting that I sat through as well. It was it was much like, you give this perception that that's what it is. It's gonna be a carnival or a fair or things of that nature, when in essence is, the chief spoke earlier, that that's really not the purpose of it. The purpose really is to get the bathrooms at that location for people to be able to use a nice piece of property to enjoy themselves. Now, as we go about this, I mean, Tom, maybe you have something we could use as the wording or what we need to do to exempt those things out of the ordinance, like fairs and so forth. I think educational purposes, I think that'd be a good thing, a good use for the property to get a little bit of culture. But I guess that's what we gotta figure out, is how we would go about doing that.
Okay. Ms. Burton, we're not supposed to do this, but I'm gonna call you back just so you can speak, okay? So if you'd come to the podium. And just,
My only concern is I'm still.
can you come to the podium, please? Thank you so much.
My concern is still about that entrance over in the field for parking or emergency.
High Peak?
They've never used it, which I know you haven't. But it's for protection of your property too. Because there's a lot of deer there and a lot of people park in front of my house to observe the deer. If there's an entrance for them to pull over in there, they're gonna be pulling over there all times of day and night too. I don't think that's a good idea.
All right, okay. Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that. All right, so my understanding is that entrance is not gonna be used during the powwow, correct?
It's never been used.
Okay.
It's not an entrance there.
Okay. All right, so, Mr. Creasy, do you have any, if I could summarize what I'm hearing, Board, it sounds like the board is okay with the restrooms, the board is okay with the powwow once a year, and the board is okay with, obviously, using it for agricultural purposes, just like any other agricultural district can do, and that interest on High Peak won't be used during the powwow. And it sounds like we're fine with school children going there during the school year, and we're okay with the Monicans going and using it for their recreational purposes, which I'm not sure that even needs to be written into anything. Is there some type of a condition that you could come up with that addresses that?
We could potentially just limit to, staff left it open-ended in the advertisement in case the Monicans do come up with other events that they would potentially like to hold. We could come up with one to where that it shall be limited to only the powwow and educational events for school children. And that way it's limited to just that single one event and educational events for children. Now, if they wanted to host another event out there based on that condition, in my eyes, they would need to come back before you for approval.
Okay. Board, what was your thoughts? Mr. Wade?
Can I ask one question? So right now, if we approve it as is, any other events they want to have, they still have to come to the planning commission. They still have to bring it to you, though.
As is, so long as they are devoted to the education and the promotion of their history. As it's written currently, they would not have to come back before you again, only would have to receive that permit from the Parks and Rec Department for events over 150 people that is open to the public.
What's your pleasure?
I'll make a motion that we approve the special exception and limit it just to the powwow and allow them to put the restrooms in there and use it for agricultural use and educational use, so.
Okay. Is there any discussion on that motion? All right, it's a motion on the floor by Mr. Wade. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. Thank you very much. All right, moving on, we will move on to our consent agenda. Board, is there any discussion on the consent agenda? If not, may I have a motion?
I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
All right, there's a motion on the floor by Mr. Pugh. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. Thank you. All right, moving on to old business, Resolution 2024-11, Timothy Waldron. Mr. Creasy?
Sir, Vice Chair, Board, this is a non-public hearing to consider a resolution for the revocation of Special Exception 2020-380 pursuant to Section 1003.0311 of the zoning ordinance. Special Exception 2020-380 with conditions was previously approved by the Board of Supervisors for a trucking business and is located at tax map number 82-A-15A. The commission at their October meeting tabled the resolution to provide the property owner more time to correct the entrance issues with the Virginia Department of Transportation. It was then brought to you all on January 21st, 2025, in which you all tabled that request and gave Mr. Waldron an additional, I believe it was 60 days. Staff has went out to the site today. There are some existing condition pictures that staff took this afternoon around 4 o'clock, showing some progress that Mr. Waldron has made out there. However, that said, the site is still not fully in compliance with the approved site plan. As indicated in the pictures, staff tried to provide a quick blurb with some of the issues. Many of the issues relate to stabilization of the property through permanent seeding straw, as well as some erosion issues that need to be corrected towards the basin. In addition to that, there are some gravel that needs to be placed in a few areas that would help the site out with drainage. There are also about 3 or 4 trees that need to be removed and replanted. They have unfortunately died. In addition to that, there are conditions in which there can be no miscellaneous items on site. There is a Connex box that the owner intends to move into one of the permitted parking spaces to act as storage. That can be seen on one of the pictures, as well as a paver that the petitioner used during the project, in which he has indicated the company still needs to come back and pick up. So with that, the Planning Commission recommended denial of this resolution, 2024-1141, and then of course sent to you, in which you allowed Mr. Waldron more time to bring that site into compliance. Staff would add that we believe that Mr. Waldron has made good progress. That said, he has been given ample time to bring this site into compliance. But progress has been made, but it is still not there yet.
So what is staff's recommendation?
Staff would recommend that we give Mr. Waldron an additional 60 days to bring this into compliance. There are a few areas in the county where staff has to do enforcement on special exceptions continuously. Now, I will say, in my view, Mr. Waldron does wait to the last minute. However, during those last hours, he works his butt off. That goes a long way in staff's eyes. And so staff would recommend to you all to give him an additional 60 days to correct his erosion issues for stabilization and to correct a few more conditions that still need to be addressed.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Creasy. Mr. Waldron? Get it done in 60 days?
Yes, sir.
Is there any problem with extending it for
No,
60
that
days?
was my question. I have one follow-up, though.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bryant, is there any way you could follow up with Mr. Waldron every 2 weeks or so, just to kind of keep things on track and not wait to the last minute? That way we're not, trying to kick this can down the road any further. so.
To clarify the last minute, I work a full-time job, and then, like, in order to purchase the stone, I have to work a couple of weeks, get a paycheck, and I'm using my paychecks to bring this project into compliance. And that's one of the reasons why it's sort of a last minute, because I have to compile the money together in order to get the material to bring everything into spec.
Would you be open to him reaching out every couple
Absolutely.
weeks? Okay.
Absolutely.
That's my only request.
Well, Mr. Waldron, I know some of the stuff is really expensive, riprap, gravel, things like that. So I understand, your position, and I appreciate what you've done. I can see the progress that you've made. That'd be the last thing I'd want to do is rip something out from under somebody that's put the time in, but we do have to see progress.
Yes, sir.
You've got to see progress, so I hope you can get it done. I'm pulling for you, and, I guess we'll see you back here in 60 days.
Absolutely. Well, what Mr. Creasy has laid out a plan for me today, I believe that we can accomplish that. I really do.
Board, is there consensus to bring this back in 60 days? Or do you need a motion?
I'm fine with that.
All right, it's consensus, bring it back in 60 days. Thank you, Mr. Waldron.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
All right, I know we took this off of the agenda, but the brick grant, I know a lot of staff work went into that. Mr. Bryant, do you want to speak towards that really quick?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Martin. I wanted to really, and they're not here unfortunately, but I wanted to thank our staff. They took an opportunity to work and put together a conscious effort on this brick grant. It was actually, we were coming to you not asking for any funds, any cash. It was in-kind services. It was work that our staff worked across multiple departments, multiple agencies to try to put this together. This was an effort to repair dams that needed work in our county, to repair drainage areas, add a sidewalk facility. And so I just want to thank specifically Nate Young in our community development department, Tyler Creasy, Leslie Sprouse, our grant writer. She put a fantastic application together. Brian Thacker in Public Works, Jeremy Lombardo, and Tim Casilla with the Service Authority. You can see right there, we were working across multiple departments, another agency. And so folks went out of their way to try to find federal funding. Unfortunately, that federal funding, when we published the agenda on Thursday, we found on that Friday that federal funding ceased. So we'll keep our eyes out. If that grant comes back up in a different form or a different department of the federal government, we'll always advocate and try to find funds for Amherst County. But I just want to say thanks to those folks that went out of their way to put that together.
Absolutely. We appreciate all the hard work from staff and you, Mr. Bryant. All right, moving on to County Administrator's Report, Board Commissions, Building Appeals Board vacancy. Mr. Bryant.
Yes, sir. Give me 1 second. Okay, so the term of Frank D. Campbell, at-large representative on the Building Appeals Board, expires April 30th, 2025. The terms of Norman Hanson and Lynn Cunningham, at-large representatives on the Building Appeals Board, expired on April the 30th, 2024. Staff advertised these vacancies, the 2024 vacancies, in the New Era Progress. We also advertised the 2025 vacancy of Franklin D. Campbell in the New Era Progress on March the 20th with the closing date of April the 7th. Staff has received a letter of interest for a reappointment from Franklin Campbell on March the 26th, and staff received a letter of interest from Virgil Coleman for an appointment of the remainder of an unfilled vacancy. That term would expire on April the 30th. So we have 3 vacancies, and we have 2 people interested. We have recommended motions on how you would like to proceed. And we will still be looking for a 3rd person if you do choose to fill these 2 tonight.
So Mr. Campbell's okay with being reappointed. Mr. Coleman served on the board before, or is he on it now?
He's not, I don't think he's on it now, no.
I think he's been on it.
Yeah, I think he has in the
Been on it
past.
before.
Yeah, in the past.
Okay. And then there's 1 vacancy.
Yes, sir.
So, board, what's your pleasure?
I'll make a motion that we reappoint Franklin D. Campbell as a representative to the Building Appeals Board for a term ending April 30th. And also, I would appoint Mr. Virgil Coleman as a representative to the Building Appeals Board for the remainder of the term ending April 30th, 2028. And also direct staff to re-advertise for the position that's will be currently vacant.
Yes.
Okay. Is Mr. Coleman here? Okay. All right. Is there any discussion on that motion by Mr. Pugh? All right. If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. Motion carries. Moving on to County Attorney's Report. Mr. Popovich.
Mr. Chairman, the only thing that I would bring to the board's attention is there was a lawsuit filed by a pro se inmate against one of the sheriff's deputies. In that lawsuit, he went on to name the county administrator, the clerk, your former procurement officer, a bunch of other individuals, which our firm took on as part of your insurance defense, and we were able to have all of you removed as defendants, so that the only
thank
defendant
you so
left is the
much.
sheriff's deputy. So that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. All right, moving on to liaison and committee reports. We have Parks and Recreation and Cultural Development Board. That would be me. Great things from the Parks and Rec Board. The board participated at the Sweetbriar College Amherst County Day April 5th. They did the Easter egg hunt, which had about 250 participants in it, so we thank them for doing that. They're currently working with Amherst Baptist Church for utilizing their gym for some space for programs such as basketball and volleyball. They also are planning a day in the park at Mill Creek Lake on Saturday, July 26th from 11 to 3. There'll be a bouncy house, DJs, lake painting, water safety instruction, food vendors, and other activities. And they are currently planning summer sports camps for football, basketball, softball, and baseball and soccer. So Parks and Recreation is alive and well in Amherst County. All right, and with that, we are back to citizen comment. Is there anyone who would like to address the board? Hearing and seeing none, matters from the board. Mr. Wade.
Nothing tonight, sir.
Mr. Pugh?
I have nothing.
All right, just because Ms. Jones came and spoke to us. Mr. Bryant, I remember Ms. Jones coming. I do. I'm old, but I got a mind like a steel trap. All right. I can't see, but I can remember. Didn't we, I mean, we started doing some things, like we required trash cans to be at businesses. And I thought we increased the fines for littering. And we hired someone to do the 29 corridor. And what can we do to address some of these concerns? Could you look into that and
Yes,
maybe
sir.
kind of come back to us with what our plan is to combat litter? I mean, we also had the young lady that was organizing trash pickups and all that. But if you could come back, you got a comment?
Oh, yeah, well, just a couple weeks ago, the road that I happen to live on is adopted by the Blue Ridge Caballeros Horse Club. And just recently, they were on my road picking up trash, and I stopped by and, of course, told them, thank you very much for what you was doing, because as a child, I was in that club, and probably that's why the road was picked, because a bunch of us lived on that road. But I think there are things we can do, make aware, like oftentimes we may not be aware of areas in the county that have the trash or have a problem. Like Glade Road is an example. That's not that heavily traveled of a road, and it's off the main drag, so, I mean, many people don't even know where that is. So that's one thing we could do, is we can have, get reports on it and pass it on to the sheriff's office and see if there's some things that we can do. Is one thing we could do. I mean, it's a report, where are the problems? Because, we're not everywhere all the time.
I got you.
I'll put together a recommendation, bring staff together, and bring it back to you, the Board of Supervisors.
Maybe work with our public information officer, do some kind of public information campaign about how littering is bad and it affects the waterways and the plastic drink things strangulate turtles and all that. 'Cause
Right.
it does, right?
Yeah, in the county, we did a number of things. We did require businesses to put more trash cans out. We enforced that. We actually bought a lot of trash cans ourselves. We put them at every county building when we realized we didn't have them either. And so we went out of our way to also do that. But yes, I can bring back a recommendation. We did engage VDOT. I'm trying to remember all the things we did. And we had a volunteer group that was heading it up. It was Virginia Myers was heading that up.
Very, very, very briefly, please.
I have told y'all, and I told you before.
I can't even remember the me until you.
Accountability.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, you can get groups to go out here and pick it up, but we need to stop the problem. It's just like, just like a state of Ohio, you go in the bathroom, here they got opioid stuff. No, you need to stop the problem, and it's called accountability. And, that's how you stop the problem, $15,000 fine. Make Amherst County the first county in Virginia to have accountability for what people do, whether they're traveling through the county or live in the county. And once you start setting that accountability, $15,000 fine, nobody really wants. I mean, they don't want to pay $12 for a 24-pack of eggs, right? Once you have the accountability, and I'm going to address a little story with y'all real quick, if you don't mind.
Can you do
Just
it
real
after?
quick, real
All right,
quick.
real quick.
When my son was small, and I was a single parent, we was at Kmart, and he picked up this little frog, and you pushed it, probably cost 2 cents, okay? I told him, I said, that doesn't belong to you. You need to put it back. We get home, he still has it. I packed his bum up in the car. I took him back to Kmart, and I made him tell the manager what he did. That was accountability. I never had any trouble with my son stealing. He never drank, done drugs, got a master's from Johns Hopkins in physics, and was valedictorian in physics at Virginia Tech because I was strict. There has to be accountability. If you don't have it, you don't solve the problem. Picking up after, I call them pigs, does not solve the problem. It's called accountability.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm sorry, that's what we need. Thank y'all for listening. I appreciate it. And I hope we can get together and make Amherst County the prettiest county in Virginia.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anything else? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion on the floor by Mr. Wade. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. We stand adjourned.